Welcome, everyone, to this lesson. You are going to learn medical vocabulary you should know, and you'll learn full phrases that I use and native speakers use in our daily lives. And we'll do this in a listen and repeat. So I will say this full phrase at a natural pace. You can listen and then repeat. And we're doing this so you can shadow me to make sure you sound like a native because, yes, you need to know the vocabulary. Yes, you need to know the sentence structure and grammar. And yes, you need to know correct pronunciation. And we will do all three at the same time in this lesson. Now, you'll listen to me say it fast, so at a natural pace, but then I'll say it slow and I'll explain the pronunciation changes so you can train your ear to hear them. And then you'll listen fast again so you can get comfortable with how you'll hear these phrases in the real world outside of a classroom. Let's start with at the doctor's office. Here's here's a phrase you can say when you walk in the door, you go up to the reception. You can say, I have an appointment at 3 p.m. with Dr. Sharma. I'll say it again. I have an appointment at 3 p.m. with Dr. Sharma. Now, notice for vocabulary, in a medical context, we use the word appointment. You wouldn't say meeting. If you say, I have a meeting at 3 p.m. with Dr. Sharma, it sounds like you're there for a business purpose. Maybe you'll talk about expanding the medical facilities. Maybe you'll try to sell the doctor certain medical equipment or sell the doctor your marketing services. So it is not for you to be a patient. So appointment is the word when you are seeing the doctor for treatment. And the verb is have. I have an appointment. Notice that pronunciation, an appointment. So an, the article, needs to combine with appointment. An appointment. So notice it sounds like the name Anna. Anna. But then you have to continue on. An appointment. An appointment. Repeat after me. An appointment. An appointment at. Now, when I combine appointment with my next word, I'm not going to pronounce that T because it forces me to take a pause. I have an appointment at 3 p.m. with Dr. Sharma. Now, grammatically, you can change the order and you can say, I have an appointment with Dr. Sharma at 3 p.m. So you can change those two parts. So here is something you can say. Now I'll say it fast and you can repeat after me. I have an appointment at 3 p.m. with Dr. Sharma. So share in the comments, who is your next appointment with? We use this vocabulary if you're getting your hair done, your nails done, you're getting a massage, you have a medical appointment. Those are the situations where you can use the word appointment. So who is your next appointment with? All right, and hello to all my amazing students watching live. Hello, Horatio, Jacob, King's English Universe. Sounds interesting. Stella from Brazil, Pavlov, hello, all the way to Czech Republic, Hidaki, and yes, I speak and therefore teach American English. Oh, is this your doctor's name? This was my childhood doctor's name. So when I thought of a doctor, this is the first name I thought of because this was my childhood doctor. Okay. All right. Anna has an appointment with her hairdresser next week. Very nice. I'm so glad you are finding it helpful and welcome. I love having new students join. Hello, Rose from Haiti. Okay, how about this one? Who is saying this? You're in the context of going to the doctor's and you say you have an appointment, and then someone replies and says this. Who says this to you? Please have a seat in the waiting room. I'll say it again. Please have a seat in the waiting room. What verb tense is this? Think about that as well. Put that in the comments. Hello, all the way from Orlando. I'm so glad you love it. Okay, this is an interesting one. I have an appointment with my tattoo. So, a tattoo is the actual design on your skin, but the person who does the design, generally we call them artists. So, your tattoo artists. I'm not sure. There could be some other language. I don't have any tattoos, but I'm pretty sure it's tattoo artist. Okay, so I have an appointment. You don't have an appointment with the design. You have an appointment with the person who's considered an artist, a tattoo artist. Okay, but great job practicing. And if this were last week, you would change your verb tense, of course, and say, I had an appointment with my tattoo artist last week to discuss my new design or whatever it might be. And yes, of course, this is the imperative. And yes, absolutely, Merrick. The receptionist, the name of the person who would say this, receptionist would say this as an instruction to you. Please have a seat in the waiting room. Now, the receptionist could just say, have a seat in the waiting room. Adding please sounds more friendly. Please have a seat in the waiting room. You could also add please at the end. Have a seat in the waiting room, please. Okay, let's talk about the pronunciation. Please have a. So notice you hear that v on the A. Have a. Repeat that. Have a. Have a. Have a. Have a seat. Have a seat. Have a seat. Seat in the waiting room. Now, what's the waiting room? Obviously, the room where you wait. So that's what they call that. Where you're like, where is the doctor? My appointment was 20 minutes ago. Ugh. That's the waiting room. And yes, I forgot to mention dentist. Actually, I have an appointment with my dentist next week. So thank you for reminding me, Ruslan. Yeah, exactly. I have a job interview on Thursday at 11 a.m. First of all, good luck to you. I'm sure you'll do great. And great job. I have a job interview. So in this context, you wouldn't say appointment and you wouldn't even say meeting. If someone asks you, oh, do you have a meeting? You would say, no, I have a job interview. So it's an interview. So excellent sentence structure. Yeah, for my pet. Exactly. So an appointment with the vet for your pet. Excellent. Very nicely done. Oh, Pazlak said, I have a headache today. So perhaps I should go to the doctor. Go to the doctor. Exactly. I would say the doctor. Now, the doctor is a specific doctor. For me, it's Dr. Sharma. So for you, the doctor is the one you normally go to. If you say a doctor, it means any doctor, whoever is available. And it doesn't matter who that person is. All right. Please have a seat in the waiting room. Please have a seat in the waiting room. Please have a seat in the waiting room. Notice how there's generally a natural pause. Please have a seat in the waiting room because it divides. So you can absolutely add pauses to your speech to divide ideas. Okay, let's keep going. Oh, this one. So this could be a continuation of this one. Please have a seat in the waiting room. The doctor will see you shortly. The doctor will see you shortly. Now, Grammatically, you know why it's the doctor because I just explained we use the for a specific doctor. If the receptionist said, Dr. Sharma will see you shortly, so the receptionist could absolutely use the name of the doctor, then you wouldn't say the Dr. Sharma, of course, because we don't use the with proper nouns. And saying Dr. Sharma, that is now a proper noun, so no article. The doctor, Dr. Sharma. Now, if the receptionist said a doctor will see you shortly, that's possible. Maybe in this hospital or this facility, this clinic, there are many doctors available and just whoever is finished first will see you. So you're not assigned a specific doctor for making things run faster. Just whoever is available goes into the room first. So that could be a doctor will see you shortly because you don't know which doctor. So it is possible that they would say that as well. Okay. The doctor will see you in no time? Yes, absolutely. Keep in mind, if the receptionist said this to me, I expect the doctor to be there very quickly. So saying something will happen in no time makes it sound like the doctor is going to be there very quickly. Okay. We'll see you shortly. It sounds like in a short period of time, but it doesn't sound as fast as in no time. Soonly is not a word. So you can say the doctor will see you soon. The doctor will see you soon, which I think is the equivalent to shortly. The doctor will see you soon. The doctor will see you shortly. Soonly is not a word. Okay. Awesome, everyone. This is interesting. The doctor will see you in a while. In a while. Now, this, I'd be like, what? Why? Because it sounds like it's a long time. So it's interesting. We have these different time expressions that students might think, oh, I can just use any one of these because you might learn them all in a YouTube lesson as alternative time expressions, but they actually communicate a very specific meaning. Like I said, in no time, that sounds very soon. Shortly or soon sounds like an average amount of waiting. And in a while, it sounds like the doctor is delayed. I might as well start working on something else because I'm going to be here for a while. So they communicate different things. Oh, this is really interesting. So, in the medical sense, we don't use the terminology of customer. A customer is used in a business context to represent the relationship between a buyer and a seller. Now, even though in most countries you do have to pay for medical treatment, you are a buyer and the hospital is a seller, we don't use that terminology of customer. In the medical context, they use the terminology, does anyone know? Patient. Patient. Yes, Kadif. Yes. So at the dentist, at the eye doctor, optometrist, at whatever doctor, whatever doctor it is, does not matter. They will say patient. So if you call and say, oh, I'd like to make an appointment, they might say, oh, are you a patient here? Are you a patient? Exactly. Awesome job, everyone. Now, with your hair, you're not a patient because it's not medical. So you would just be a customer, or they also use the terminology client. Client sounds like you have a more intimate relationship because if you go to the same person for your hair every 8 weeks and you've been doing that for years, you have more of a relationship with that person. Customer sounds more transactional, and client sounds more like a relationship. Really interesting how these words have a meaning in them. Okay. Okay, everyone. Let's keep going. Hopefully the receptionist says in no time. In no time. That would be my personal favorite because I know it's happening soon. Very soon, I should add. Okay. How about this one? So the receptionist might say to you, "Is your information on file up to date? Is your information on file up to date? Is your information on file up to date? Is your information." First of all, this your can become more of an unstressed your. Is urine. So you can use this R to connect to the vowel sound. Is your information. Repeat after me. Is your information on file? Information on. So you can add this N to on. Is your information on file up to? This to will become unstressed because it's a preposition. Up to, up to, up to date, up to date. Now, here, because date ends the sentence and you naturally take a pause anyway, you can pronounce that T. Up to date. Up to date. Now, you have a file. So a file is a document with all your personal information, such as your address, your insurance, your phone number, your next of kin. So if there's an emergency, they call your next of kin. That would be the family that you add to the file, for example. And any of your patient information. So treatments you've had, medications that you've been prescribed, things like that. So we call that's your file, your file. Okay. So the preposition is on file, on file. And up to date means the most recent and the most current. So if you moved in the last 6 months, then your information is not the most recent or the most current because it's your old address. Or if you've changed jobs, it's not up to date. If you have a new insurance provider, it's not up to date. If you have a new child, it's not up to date, right? You need to provide all of that information. Okay. Yeah, updated is the most comparable. Updated. So I'm seeing a lot of different word choices that aren't really synonymous to be examples. So to be honest, you wouldn't say, is your personal data still actual? You wouldn't say that. You would say, is your personal data up to date? That's what you would say. Maybe still correct, but I would say still up to date, up to date. That's the language that they would use, up to date. Okay. Yeah, exactly. It's simply, is it correct or not? Like I said, if you changed your address and they have an old address, then it's not correct. Yes, Ruslan, that's a great way of thinking of it. All right. Awesome job, everyone. And I have this free speaking guide for you. So you can download it. This is the link. It's my website, jforrestenglish.com/free guide. Or if you just go to my website, the very first thing you'll see is this. So you'll enter your name and email, and then this will be emailed directly to you. Now, I share my best advice in here because students ask me the same questions over and over again. So rather than explaining the same things over and and over again. I put my best information in this guide. So make sure you download it. It's very quick. You can go through it in just a few minutes, but you will receive so much value from it. And it's absolutely free. And if you're enjoying this lesson, then make sure you like it so I know you're getting value from it. Subscribe so you're notified every time I post a new lesson, especially if you're new here. You might not know what my publishing schedule is. So if you subscribe, YouTube will tell you, and put yes, yes, yes in the comments so I know you're enjoying this lesson as well. All right, Hidaki. And sorry, I'm not sure how to pronounce this student. Easy win. Exactly. Thank you so much, Horatio. Awesome. I'm so glad you're enjoying this lesson, Martin and Bikash, Han, Azam. Woohoo! I am so glad. And you liked it too, even though I can't pronounce your name. I appreciate that. All right. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Okay, let's keep going. I have a lot to share with you. Let's talk about describing your symptoms. Now, first of all, think about the last symptom you had, and if you feel comfortable, you can make it up. If you don't want to share personal details, I understand. So feel free to make it up if you want, or think of someone else, a symptom that they've had, and describe a symptom. This is just to practice vocabulary. It's not because I want to know about your medical symptoms. Okay, so how about this one? Oh, well, first of all, this isn't a symptom, but now you've finally made it out of the waiting room and you're sitting in the doctor's office, finally, and the doctor says to you, "What brings you in today? What brings you in today?" There are many different things the doctor could say, but this is a very common one. What brings you in today? So this is another way of saying, why are you here? But a doctor would not say that, because that sounds too direct. It almost sounds like rude. Why are you here? So nobody would say that. So this same expression, a hairstylist could say this to you. "Well, what brings you in today?" "Oh, I just want to get a trim. So that's why I'm here, to get a trim, a small amount of hair cut off." So in this context, what brings you in today? Then you would describe your symptoms. Okay. What brings you? So notice this as we can link it, brings you, you. So it will sound like a voiced sound, brings you, brings you, brings you in, you in. So you might hear a little bit of a W sound to help glide the U in, you win, you win, you win. So it might sound like win, you win, you win, you win today. What brings you in today? What brings you in today? Yeah, exactly. What's the reason for coming or for being here? Exactly, exactly. Okay, Alexander, what problem has made you, so this is just too much of a direct translation. You wouldn't say too advertised to me. Maybe a doctor would say, so what problem brings you in today? Now, the doctor might make it plural. What problems bring you in today? What problems are you experiencing? There are other ways, but this wouldn't be one of them. But good try. Good try. Okay. So again, just naturally, what brings you in today? What brings you in today? What brings you in today? Very natural expression. Keep this in your vocabulary because you don't need to use this just in a medical context. Like I said, for your hair, for your nails, for appointments with service providers, even if you bring your car into a garage, which is what we say for a mechanic, you bring your car to a mechanic into a garage and they can say, "Oh, what brings you in today?" "Oh, my engine is making this weird noise," or "My tires are deflated," whatever it might be. Okay. Yeah, and here's a reason why. "Oh, I have a backache. Oh, I have a backache." Oh, I like this one. "What seems to be the problem? What seems to be the problem?" That's a good one. I like that. And this could be used in a mechanic situation. You're talking to the mechanic. "Oh, what seems to be the problem with your car?" That's a good one. That's natural. Good job. "I have a sore throat." Yes, exactly. I have a sore throat. Exactly. Exactly. "I have a headache." "Oh, I have a headache." Okay, this Ruslan, if you use "what," then you need to add "with." "What can I help you with?" Okay? Otherwise, you would use "how." "How can I help you? How can I help you? How can I help you? What can I help you with? What can I do for you?" That would be another one as well. All right. Ooh, "I'm suffering." This is a good one. You can simply say "I have," or you can use the verb suffer. In this case, the present continuous because it's taking place now. "I'm suffering from severe back pain." Yeah, because severe obviously makes it sound more serious. So doctors and medical professionals, they often ask you on a scale of 1 to 10, how severe is your pain? So 1 is the lowest and 10 is the highest. So severe back pain sounds like maybe an 8, 9, 10 on a scale of 1 to 10. Okay, "I have a toothache." Exactly, exactly. "I have a toothache." Very nice, very nice. Okay, what did I say? I have watery eyes. I like that one. "I have watery eyes." Nice. Okay. "I've had a high fever for 4 days. I've been taking Tylenol, but it hasn't gone down." This is a longer one because it'd be more realistic if a doctor asked you. You probably just wouldn't say, "I have a fever." You probably give them more information, right? So I wanted this to sound like something I would naturally say to a doctor. I wouldn't just say, "I have a fever." I would give that doctor information. "I've had a high fever." So high, remember on a scale of 1 to 10, maybe high is a 7, 8. "I've had a high fever for 4 days." So notice we need "for" with a period of time, a duration of time. There's a start and an end. "Since" is used with a starting point in time. So since would be since Friday, since Saturday, since last Monday. It's a starting point in time. And this is in the present perfect. I've had. I've had. Yes, I could say I have a high fever. That's for right now. But I've had is the present perfect because I'm focusing on the fact it started in the past and continues until now. I've had a high fever for 4 days. Now, I'm going to give my doctor a little more information because if you have a fever, generally you don't go to the doctor. You just take Tylenol, which is the medicine that the brand name of the medicine that's ubiquitous in North America. I don't know what the equivalent would be for you. I don't know if Tylenol exists, but it's what's the medical ingredient? Acetaminophen, I think is the medical ingredient. It reduces your fever, basically. I've been taking Tylenol. So notice this is in the present perfect continuous because we don't put the verb have to describe a state of being, we don't put that in the continuous form. But the verb take, you can put in the continuous form. I've been taking Tylenol because I started taking Tylenol 4 days ago and I'm still taking Tylenol now. But the fever, it hasn't gone down. This is the present perfect in the negative to describe something that hasn't happened yet. It's an unfinished time reference, which is why this is in the present perfect, because it's still possible for the fever to go down. Ah, yes, I'm burning up. So let's say you're a younger kid, okay? Maybe you're 10 years old or 12 years old, and you go to your parents and you say, "Oh, I don't feel very well." The first thing they'll probably do is feel your forehead. And then if you feel hot, like you have a fever, they'll say, "Wow, you're burning up. You're burning up." Which sounds like you have a fever, okay? You have a fever. It's great, great expression, Paslak. Very natural. It's very much used. Okay, but the fever hasn't gone down. So to go down, of course, I don't know what a high fever would be. Maybe 104. I don't know. 104, 105, 106. And then maybe that's too high. I'm not sure. And then to go down, obviously your temperature decreases. The number goes down to 101, 100, 99, 98. I don't even know what a normal temperature is, to be honest. I think it's in the high 90s, right? Maybe 97, 98. Someone let me know, what is our normal temperature of the human body? So 105 is too high. Thank you, Samira. Would that be like an extreme fever? I'm not sure. Okay, clearly I'm not a medical doctor. So this is a great thing you can say to a doctor, or you can just say to your friends, your boss. This could be the reason why you need to take the day off. So you will not go to work today. You take the day off and you tell your boss, "Oh, I've had a high fever for 4 days. I've been taking Tylenol, but it hasn't gone down. I need to stay home today." 98. Oh, yeah, 98 Degrees. That's the name of a band. Or it was a band. Was it 98 Degrees? I think so, something like that. 95, 98, 98 Fahrenheit. Oh, okay, 98 degrees. There you go. That's baseline, the normal temperature. Thank you, everyone. And yes, that's a great song, Temperature. I agree. It's a good song. All right. Next one. How about this? Again, I'm using the present perfect just because when you go to a doctor or you're describing symptoms, generally you need to give more information. So yes, you can say what you have. I have a cough. But you want to be more prescriptive. You want to give more information. I've had a persistent cough. What is a persistent cough? Who knows? What's the use of persistent? And again, the present perfect. So notice that I've had, I've had, I've had a, had a, had a, I've had a, I've had a. I've had a persistent cough. Now, remember I said since is for the starting point in time. Since the beginning of last month. So this tells the doctor that, oh, okay, this is serious because it has been there for a long period of time. And it's getting worse. Oh, so again, giving more information to the doctor to justify why you're there. Nobody wakes up with a cough and goes to the doctor, right? You don't go to the doctor on the first day. Generally, it's because the symptoms are there for a while. You've tried some over-the-counter medicine. Over-the-counter means you don't need a prescription for it. So I can just walk into the pharmacy in North America. You can get this at the grocery store as well, and just buy Tylenol or buy cough medicine. I don't need a prescription. So that's over the counter. Okay. And yes, persistent. We have some great synonyms. Unstoppable. Yeah, exactly. Continuous, consistent. Yeah, continuous. Continuous is a great one. Continuous. Yeah. And won't stop, like Hidaki said as well, unstoppable. It sounds like I've taken medicine. I've drunk a lot of tea with honey. I've slept a lot. It's been days, it's been weeks, and it's still here. So it won't go away. It won't go away. All right. And it's getting worse. It is getting worse because it's happening now. That's why that's in the present continuous. Now, to get worse, that is the verb. To get worse. So get is that transition from one state to another state. Okay, so it's maybe right now it's bad and then very bad. So it's transitioning. So that's get worse. It's getting worse. My fever is getting worse. My back pain is getting worse. Now you can do the opposite, is getting better. Oh, my backache is getting better. My fever is getting better. I'm getting better. So you can use both of those as well. All right. And hopefully you use getting better. Let's keep going. How about this? Remember, you're describing your symptoms to a doctor or medical professional. Yesterday, my vision suddenly became blurry in one eye. I'll say it fast. Yesterday, my vision suddenly became blurry in one eye. Now, let's talk about some pronunciation here. Yesterday, my vision. So, nothing going on there. Yesterday, my vision. There's no linking. Suddenly became, no linking. Suddenly became blurry, no linking. So now blurry in one eye. So you may have noticed linking generally takes place when one word starts with a vowel sound, but it also depends on what the last word ends with. So here we have a vowel, Y, to another vowel, I. Blurry in, blurry in. So I can just use that Y, that Y sound, yin. So instead of in, it sounds like yin, 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 blurry in. Blurry in one eye. Now remember, this looks like a vowel, but what's the pronunciation? One is a W. It's the same as we won the game, which is spelled W-O-N. So the linking and pronunciation changes don't take place based on spelling. They take place based on pronunciation. One, in one. That's why there isn't a linking between this N and here, because the sound is W. In one eye. One. And so the end is actually on N, one eye. So I add this N sound because the E is silent for pronunciation. So I add the N to I. Exactly. Thank you for spelling that, because this is how it sounds. It ends on the N. One nigh, nigh. So this I sounds like nigh, nigh. Yeah, thank you, Hidaki. In one eye. Maybe I would keep that O for one, one nigh, but everything else that looks very phonetic to me. Okay, great job. Okay, so my vision. So you have your senses, right? Sense of smell, sense of sight. That's your sense. But then your ability to see, we call that vision. Vision. So you can say, I have 20/20 vision, which is I believe, the highest vision available for humans, the best vision. So you don't wear glasses if you have 20/20 vision, right? So that would be vision. So vision, my vision suddenly became blurry. So if your vision is blurry, just imagine the resolution on this screen is like 380 or something, just really low resolution. There's lots of lines through it. You can't see my face clearly. That would be blurry, blurry. So you can use this to describe a photo. You can say, oh no, the photo I took is blurry, is blurry. So you can't see everything clearly. Okay. So blurry in one eye. So either this eye or this eye, but not both. So this isn't the most specific. It would probably be better if I said in my left eye, in my right eye. So that would be more specific because then the doctor's just going to say, well, which eye? Which eye? Your left eye, or your right eye, right? So I could have been more precise with this. All right. And suddenly it means like right now I'm working and I can see perfectly and then I can't see. So it wasn't gradual where every day it seems to be getting a little worse, a little worse. It was like this. So that's suddenly, in an instant, suddenly, suddenly. Okay. Yeah, exactly. You can use blurry with low quality of an image, video as well. Yes, and blurry is what you can use with your eyes, so your vision. Oh, right. Okay, so this is something you could say to your doctor. I'll say it one more time fast. Yesterday, my vision suddenly became blurry in one eye. Okay. Yeah, for sure. You can say instead of in two eyes, I would just say in my eyes. Because if you use eyes plural, I only have two eyes, right? So there's no need to say in two eyes. No need. You would say just in my eyes. Or I just wouldn't say that. I would just say my vision suddenly became blurry. So I would just be general and not specify. Or alternatively, I would say in both of my eyes, in both of my eyes, in my eyes, or just simply my vision without specifying the one eye. Okay, let's keep going. How about this? So, this is something you would say to a doctor. Now, remember, doctor is a general term. There are specialists. So, what is the name of the medical specialist that deals with eyes? So, a medical doctor, but for your eyes. Who knows the name of this? So, you can put it in the comments. And what about a medical doctor that you might go to because of your skin? All right? Because here, let me read this. There's a strange rash spreading across my arms and chest. Ooh. Okay. So arms, notice arms is plural, so it means both. I don't have to say my two arms because I only have two, right? So I would just say my arms and chest. So it would be from here, here. Now, what is a rash? A rash is when you have red on your skin. It could be bumps on your skin, red bumps, things like that. That would be a rash. And strange, by saying strange, it means that you don't know why it's there. Maybe you get rashes, because some people get rashes if their skin is sensitive to laundry detergent, to strong smells, for example. So you may know why you have a rash, or you were hiking and you touched a lot of leaves. So you may know why you have a rash, because you were hiking in the woods and you touched a lot of leaves, which can be poisonous to the human skin. But if you say strange, it sounds like you don't know why it's there. Okay, so the doctor for this is an optometrist. 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 I see a lot of weird spellings of this. Optometrist. Optometrist. Okay. And then the doctor for this one, for your skin, is dermatologist. The skin is called derma. I believe it's derma. It could be dermin or something like that. But derma in, I guess, Latin. So that's where the word origin comes from. I believe. That sounds correct to me, but don't quote me on that. I could be wrong. Dermatologist. So dealing with your skin. All right. Okay. Yeah, derma. Yay, I got it right. Derma. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, so maybe every fall or every spring you get a rash. So because of allergies. So you wouldn't say it's a strange rash because you get it every year. So it just sounds like you don't understand the origin, you don't know why you don't usually get rashes, for example. That's why you would add strange in here. And now, if it's spreading, it means it's getting worse. Okay. So maybe it started here and then now it's here. And then a few days later, it's here. A few more days, it's here. And then I see another area here. So that's what spreading means. Spreading. Okay. I'll say this fast. There's a rash, there's a strange rash spreading across my arms and chest. So you'll hear a voiced sound. There's za. So it sounds like za. There's a strange rash spreading. Now, transitioning from an SH, which is like this, shh, shh. That's the SH, shh, shh. Sh to an S is difficult in English for native speakers. Okay. So certain sound combinations create natural tongue twisters. For me personally, SH to S is a natural tongue twister. I have difficulty with it. So whenever words are difficult to pronounce, you can add just a purpose pause. So a pause on purpose. Rash spreading. So I'm going to fully pronounce rash and then I will say spreading. Rash spreading. Rash spreading. Rash spreading. Because otherwise the sounds might get mumbled together. But my goal is to make that pause as quick as possible. Okay. Rash spreading. So I can practice it far away. Rash spreading, but I want to get it as small as I can. There's a strange rash spreading across. So when I'm in that G position, spreading, my tongue's curled up. So when I say the A, I'm just going to release my tongue from the G. Spreading, spreading, So you can probably see my tongue there. Practice that. Across, spreading across my arms and so we have a S here with an A, arms and chest. Now this and can just be pronounced as an mm. So when you say coffee and tea, coffee and chocolate, coffee and milk, coffee and sugar, whatever it is, instead of saying coffee and tea, you can just say coffee and arms and chest, arms and chest, arms and chest. Okay. Spreading, if it helps you to think of it as continuous, then feel free to do that. It means it's getting worse. It's moving from one area to another. So it's getting bigger or it's also expanding in the space it takes. That would be spreading. Yeah, great job writing that out. Spreading across. Spreading across. Exactly. Very nice. A rash and itchy, no, they do not have the same meaning. So a rash describes the area that is red and potentially has bumps. Someone said like pimples. So that's a good way of thinking of it. So you would just look at it and say, that's a rash. That's a rash. Okay. Itchy is when you go like this. Oh, itchy. My rash is so itchy. So itchy is that feeling, that sensation that you need to scratch. So right now I'm scratching my arm because my arm is itchy. Okay. Now, some rashes are itchy, but I don't think it's a requirement. I think you can have a rash that is not itchy, but it's very common for rashes to also be itchy. But no, they're not the same thing. Okay, great question. Let's keep going. Let's talk about medication and treatment. This doctor, it almost looks like he's like like gasping at your chart, which is not what you want your doctor to do at all. You don't want to see this face when you're talking to your doctor. But maybe he's just contemplating. I don't know. To me, it's like he's gasping at it, which I don't like. How about this? The doctor will say to you, I'll write you a prescription. I'll write you a prescription. So if you have a rash or if you have a very high fever, maybe you need a prescription for a certain medication with stronger ingredients. Remember, I said over the counter. If you can get a medication over the counter, it means that you do not need a prescription. But generally, there's only limited medical ingredients and the strength of those ingredients that you can get without a prescription. So if you need something stronger or certain types of medications require a prescription, right? I don't know what it's like in your country, but I imagine it's the same thing. Over the counter means you do not need a prescription. So that's a really good one. Let me write this. You can get this over the counter, which means you don't need a prescription. Okay. So I'll just show you. You can get this over the counter. So maybe there's a cream that the doctor wants you to take for your rash, right? And then he says to you, you can get this over the counter, which means you can go to the pharmacy or you can go to the grocery store in North America and you can just buy it along with your eggs, your bread, your milk. You can just buy it. You do not need a prescription. Okay. That's over the counter, over the counter, over the counter. So it's the opposite of a prescription. Now, if you cannot get it over the counter, the doctor will say to you, I'll write you a prescription. So they use the terminology write you because they actually write it out on a piece of paper. And then they either give you that piece of paper and then you give that piece of paper to the pharmacist, the pharmacist, okay? Or the doctor will give that piece of paper to the receptionist and the receptionist will send it to the pharmacist electronically, right? Either one of those will happen. So that's why the doctor says, I'll write you a prescription. Now, it's possible they might say, I'll give you a prescription, but it's very common to use the verb write. I'll write you a prescription. And notice this is in the future simple, because the doctor is using it for an action that they're doing now, but it's a spontaneous action. So in that exact moment, the doctor says, I'll write you a prescription. The doctor didn't plan to do this yesterday or days ago. So it's a spontaneous action, which is why it's in the future simple. Oh, this is interesting. Manuel said in the US, you can get medicine that in Europe, you would need a prescription for. Yeah. And I'm sure, all of this, it's regulated generally by the government or by some sort of association. And those groups or bodies, government bodies or association bodies, they determine what is available over the counter or what requires a prescription. Yeah, I know. It's funny to think that I don't even know if doctors still actually write it out. I'm sure they probably just fill out a form that is directly sent to a pharmacy, but I don't know. I'm healthy. Thankfully, I'm healthy. I don't require prescriptions. The last time I had a prescription from a doctor was many years ago. So I don't know if they actually still manually write it out. That's interesting. Okay, yes, and a prescription is a written official permission to get a medicine. Exactly. Great job. That's the perfect definition of what a prescription is. Okay. All right, everyone. Wow, this class went by very quickly, and I had a lot more expressions to teach you. So let me know if you want me to do another lesson with medical vocabulary. To be honest, I was a little surprised of some of the words that students didn't know or some of the direct translations that I heard. So I don't know, maybe we need to do another lesson on this topic. So let me know. And we have 1 or 2 minutes left. So if you have any burning questions, put it in the comments and I will answer that question if I can. But in that meantime, make sure you like this lesson and subscribe. Subscribe so you're notified the next time I go live, the next time I post a lesson, so you can subscribe and turn on notifications so you're notified, of course. And put yes in the comments if you like this lesson and if you want me to do another medical vocabulary lesson. Let me know. Okay, Freddie said in France, it's impossible to get any medicine in your grocery store, only in drugstores. Yes. Okay. Now, to be fair, when I say grocery store, it is a grocery store. You can get your bread, your milk, but within the grocery store, there's a separate area that is a pharmacy. So there's a pharmacist there And there's areas where you can fill your prescription. When you give your prescription to the pharmacist, the verb is to fill a prescription. So to fill a prescription, but within the grocery store, there's a mini pharmacy in the grocery store. In North America, we have these giant grocery stores. Some grocery stores, they have full eye centers. You can get an eye exam, you can buy your glasses, you can do everything. Like there are some grocery stores have gyms in them. Like these are massive stores. But yes, there's a separate pharmacy. But thank you for sharing that. All right. All right. Martin said it was a very interesting subject. I'm glad you thought so. And yes, to fill a prescription, that's the verb that you need. Time to seek a second opinion. So to seek in this context, you could say, I think I'd like to get a second opinion. So seek a second opinion, it sounds a little more formal. If it were me in that situation, I might say, get a second opinion. Get a second opinion. It sounds more natural every day. So let's say I have a rash on my body and the doctor tells me I need to take this very strong medicine. But medicine has a lot of negative side effects, and some of them can be addictive as well. So maybe I want to get a second opinion. So maybe I go to a different doctor and I go to that doctor, I show him my rash, I show her my rash, and I say, what would you prescribe? What do you think? And then they say, oh, you can take this medicine or something like that. So it's to get just another person to provide their opinion. That would be a second opinion. All right, which is very much recommended within the medical world. All right. Alexander, in North America, we use the first one, optometrist. Now, to be honest, I'm not sure if they're the same thing. Maybe one is more of a specialist and maybe an optometrist is more of a generalist. I do not know. I don't wear glasses. I don't have any eye issues. So I personally don't see an eye doctor very frequently, just once every 5 years for a checkup. But the terminology that we use in North America just to get a general inspection is optometrist. Maybe the other terminology is more of a specialist. I'm not sure, to be honest. I think you'll need to Google this. Okay. All right, everyone. How to ask for a refill? Well, you use the correct terminology. So you can say, I need to refill my prescription. I'm here to refill my prescription. I need a refill. So you can absolutely use that exact terminology. Great job. Okay, everyone. Awesome class. I loved all the questions and all the discussion as well. And if this lesson was useful and students enjoyed it, I'm happy to do a part 2 and we'll keep going with medical vocabulary. All right, everyone, have a wonderful, wonderful day. And I will see all of you in my next lesson. Bye, everyone.